We are back on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio News Talk, 1180, 1230 KGEO, 1410 KERI, and now in Albuquerque, New Mexico on 1000 KKIM, and now 3 times a week on the internet nationwide through knookmedia.com. So that was an interesting conversation with Jim Lacey. I'd like to have him back when Clay's around, have him back for the hour and talk about California, what's going on with California, pros and cons, and I think he ended it on an optimistic note. There is hope for California, but what we have to do is stand up and change the regime in Sacramento, because obviously what they're doing isn't working. You know, we're number one in a lot of categories, and none of them are very good. So, but anyways, we're going to shift gears here a little bit, and we're going to have a friend of the program on, who's sitting here next to us, Wendy Porter from the Wounded Heroes Fund.
Good
Wendy,
morning.
Welcome
Good morning.
back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
It's always a pleasure having you on. So you've got a lot of great stuff going on.
Well, you know, you're coming into Memorial Day, so there's all kinds of great stuff going on to commemorate the veterans, and then, yeah, we've got a big event coming up on July 4th that we're really, really excited about.
Well, let's start out with the smaller event on Memorial Day. What's going on Memorial Day?
You know, there's a couple events going on. I know Green Lawn in the Southwest, Green Lawn Cemetery, they do a really nice big Memorial Day program. They have some guest speakers, some music, and then they do a nice barbecue after. And I think last year, there was probably 300 to 400 people out there.
And that's on the cemetery grounds there.
That's on the cemetery grounds, yeah. Yeah, and they just do, it's really respectful and nice, and Evan Morgan goes out and sings the national anthem, and they've got some great guest speakers, and you've got the Patriot Guard riders out there and the Armed Forces support riders. It's just a good showing of our community and how they respect our, our military and veterans. So,
and you know, it's interesting. I mean, not to get morbid about it, but you know, cemeteries are not what they are back east. I mean, you know, you've got these big mausoleums, that are, you know, hundreds of years old. I mean, these are like manicured lawns, and it's like a park. It's like going to a park.
And most of them have a little area that is designated for veterans, and yeah, it's really nice.
Which is neat. What else is going on Memorial Day weekend?
There is an event out at the Riverwalk Park. They're doing 1,000 flags, so they're going to place 1,000 flags out there, I believe on Saturday morning. And those are, and I'm pretty sure you can sponsor a flag in memory of, or in, you know, and it's for veterans, but it's also for first responders. And so it's just a great way to show, you know, thank you to all of the people that are taking care of our country.
Now, when you say first responders, what are you referring to?
Firemen, policemen, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Along with military. And then they will be having on Monday, so those flags will be up Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then on Monday they will be having a program as well, a Memorial Day program. At
River Lakes Park?
At River Lakes, yeah, Riverwalk Park. Yeah.
The park with the little lake. That's the only water that's left.
Correct. Stockdale Highway, yeah. That's it.
This time of year.
That's it.
So for those of our listeners that aren't familiar with the Wounded Heroes Fund, tell us what you do and how you guys came about.
Wow. Well, we started 6 years ago. I had a group of friends over for dinner and said I have this idea of wanting to help these veterans that are, you know, these guys and girls that are coming home in this conflict, injured and coming back to Kern County, and what can we do to help them so that what happened in Vietnam didn't get repeated. You know, I grew up with a Vietnam veteran father, and it was hard for him, it was hard for us, and we wanted to make sure it didn't happen again. So we are, you know, they have to have a connection to Kern County. They need to be have an honorable discharge, and they have to have some kind of service-related injury. It doesn't necessarily have to be combat, but service-related, and that's physical injuries, mental injuries, it's whatever. And we just are here to fill in the gap. So make sure that whatever they need to get back into civilian life, back on their feet, being able to take care of their family, whatever they need, then we just try to fill that in for them.
And Wendy, you guys do such a great job. You know, I know we've had this conversation before, but you know, I was in the Marines during the Vietnam era, but I was stateside the whole time. But I can remember being stationed in the South, and a friend of mine and I ending up in Mississippi. Long story, but we ended up about 20 miles from the nearest highway. And we were walking, and we literally tried to get run over by 3 different trucks.
Oh, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and it was obvious we were Marines by our haircut and our dress. And just that attitude in those days compared to today is so entirely different, and it makes such a big difference.
It really does. And I know I've experienced some Vietnam veterans that are still bitter, and I don't blame them at all. But I also have come in contact with a lot of them, my dad included. He really appreciates how these kids are treated now, and that our country learned a lesson. And, it happened to him and his generation, but it was a lesson taught, and that will never happen again. So that, my father's very grateful for that.
We're having a conversation with Wendy Porter from the Wounded Heroes Fund. Wendy, this morning, we were taping today on Wednesday, even though we air on Saturday and a bunch of other days. But anyways, this morning on the way down the hill from Tehachapi, I was listening to Obama's talk on
the VA?
On the VA. So, in a way, yes, those kind of things won't happen again. But, other than organizations like yours, the VA, it does some good work. But, it's incredible what's going on there.
It really is. And, I don't have to deal with the VA firsthand. I'm not a service-related injury, veteran. But I think, too, having been to multiple military hospitals, visited, these Wounded Warrior transition units and stuff, the VA is really, they have a list of patients that they've never had before. These men and women that are being saved on the battlefields now would have died in Vietnam.
Yes.
You've got double amputees, triple amputees, quadruple amputees. And these guys and ladies are going to need care the rest of their lives. It's not a one-time go in, have an appointment, and you're fixed, have a nice life. This is a long-term. So that's just going to tap no matter what resources you have. And it's continuing. And, even though the war is less shown on TV now, it's still going on. There's still people being injured over there. And so I'm not standing up for the VA by any means at all, but I do understand how their resources are tapped.
Well, it's kind of ironic, a little bit funny in a way. I was listening to a program, they were talking about VA benefits and how long they go. Would you believe we still have one person left collecting benefits from the Civil War?
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's a woman who her dad got married her dad was a Civil War veteran, got married very, very late in life, and she was born, I think she's like 85 or something. So, he was really, really old when she when she was born. And she is still collecting benefits from his disability.
That is amazing.
And she's like 89 or 90, somewhere in that range. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was pretty old when he had kids. So, so here it is, we're looking at Civil War was over in 1865, so we're looking at, 160 years or whatever it is, and we're still paying out benefits. So, now we've got World War II, we've got Korea, we've got Vietnam, we've got Desert Storm, we've got, the conflict now. So we're looking at a lot of benefits paid out for a long, long time.
Correct.
So there's going to be a lot of money paid out. But you're right. It's not justifying, the behavior in the VA has sometimes been, it's been horrible at best. So, and it's got to end.
Yes.
So
hopefully things will get straightened out.
Yeah, definitely, because it's not the way to treat our veterans.
Right.
But now you don't rely on any federal funding at all.
No, we're all private donations. The money, that we raise here in Kern County stays here in Kern County. We take care of our veterans here in Kern County.
Okay, so when you see that advertisement all the time talking about the Wounded Heroes Fund on TV, it's not necessarily your organization.
Well, if it's talking about it here in Bakersfield, yes. But there is a Wounded Warrior organization that is a national organization. We are not affiliated with them. We don't have anything to do with them. They do things on a national level. We stay right here at home. Right.
They do a great job, but again, none of their money comes here to Kern County.
Right.
So if you want your money and your time to come to Kern County, you're the person to talk to. Yep.
Right.
And what's the phone number for people to call?
It's 328-8600.
That's 661.
Correct.
328-8600. And do you have a website?
We do. It's thewoundedheroesfund.org.
thewoundedheroesfund.org. Okay. When we come back from the break, let's talk about some of the other events you have coming up.
Okay.
We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio News Talk 1180.